You ever wake up one day and realize you've been living in someone else's game? You thought you were building a relationship, but somehow you've been reduced to a role you never auditioned for. The fixer, the comforter, the proof that she's always right. And every time you try to stand your ground, it turns into a storm that makes you question if it's even worth the fight. That's not love, that's control. And if you keep playing, you will lose more than just the relationship. You will lose yourself. Right now, there are men watching this who are running themselves into the ground, trying to keep a woman happy, thinking that if they can just love harder, try more, give more, it will all work out. But here's the truth you're not being told. The more you hand over your peace, your time, and your self-respect to avoid conflict, the less she will respect you. These games, and make no mistake, they are games, are designed to pull you into her frame, where she dictates the rules and you're always playing from behind. When a woman plays these 5 games, you either learn how to win or you get used to losing. Winning doesn't mean controlling her. It means controlling yourself so completely that no manipulation can move you. That's where Stoicism comes in. The timeless principle that you cannot control what another person does, but you have full control over your response. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The man who masters that truth is untouchable. I'm not here to tell you to be nice about it. I'm here to tell you to stop apologizing for drawing lines, stop chasing after disrespect, and stop thinking you need to prove yourself to someone who keeps moving the goalpost. This is about turning the game around, not through arguments, not through begging, but by holding such a solid frame that she has no choice but to either respect it or remove herself. And when you learn how to do this, you won't just win in relationships, you will win in life. Because the same principles that protect you from emotional games will protect you in business, friendships, and every challenge you face. By the end of this video, you will see every move, every tactic, and every test for what it really is, and you will know exactly how to respond. But first, I want you to write in the comments right now, "I see the games," because once you see it, you can never unsee it. Number 1. She plays victim. When she plays the victim, she is not seeking your comfort in the way you wish she was. She is seeking leverage, power, and emotional control. And the truth is, most men don't see it until they are so deep into the web that they no longer know where her feelings end and their responsibility begins. You find yourself in situations where every conversation turns into a rescue mission, where you are positioned not as a man in his own right, but as the emergency responder to her constant self-made crises. And in the beginning, it feels like care. It feels like love, because you've been taught that being the strong, supportive man is what makes you valuable, so you listen to her endless list of problems. The boss who is unfair, the friend who betrayed her, the ex who ruined her life, the world that never gives her a break. And before you know it, you are spending more time managing her emotional storms than building your own life. And here's the part that stings. Every time you step in to fix it for her, every time you absorb the blame she subtly lays at your feet, you train her to bring you more of it. Because now she knows you will bend, you will sacrifice your own peace, you will go against your own schedule, your own plans, even your own values, just to stop her from being upset. And you don't realize that you have stepped out of the role of man and into the role of servant, because in her mind, the more you take on her pain, the more she can load onto you. This is not partnership. This is dependency disguised as intimacy. The solution is brutal in its simplicity. You must stop rewarding false helplessness. You must have the courage to watch her sit in the consequences of her own actions without rushing to save her. You must detach your sense of worth from how much you can shield her from life. Because the truth is, a healthy woman respects a man who can empathize but will not carry what is not his. A healthy woman respects a man who can listen without being recruited into the drama. But if you are dealing with a woman who plays the victim as a lifestyle, the more you do for her, the less she respects you and the less she values you. If she sees you as a permanent safety net, she will never see you as the man she must show up for, so you reclaim control by calmly, firmly refusing to be her emotional dumping ground. When she calls you in tears over a problem she has created for the 5th time this month, you say, "That's tough. What's your plan to fix it?" And then you shut up. You do not rescue. You do not over-explain. You do not absorb blame that is not yours. Because the moment you make her stand on her own 2 feet, one of 2 things will happen. She will either grow or she will rage. And both outcomes are good for you. Because if she grows, you now have a partner capable of meeting you at your level. And if she rages and tries to shame you back into the savior role, with aggression, not with overcompensation, but with an unshakable calm that says, "I am not here to live your life for you," because that calmness, that refusal to take the bait, that ability to let her sit in her own consequences, that is what separates men who lead their lives from men who get led into someone else's chaos. Understand that life will always present tests, and this is one of them. If you can pass the victim test, you will find that not only does your relationship dynamic shift, but so does every area of your life, because you stop trying to rescue people who have no intention of rescuing themselves. You start protecting your time, your focus, your energy, and you begin to attract relationships, romantic or otherwise, where both people stand tall, carry their own weight, and build something worth having, because you were not designed to be the permanent shock absorber for someone else's poor decisions. You were designed to lead, to build, to protect your mission, and the sooner you stop indulging the victim game, the sooner you step back into being the man you were always meant to be. And if you're serious about never falling into that trap again, not just with her, but in every relationship you'll ever have, you need to get the Stoic Relationship Blueprint. It's linked in the comments, and once you have it, it's yours forever. That means no matter where life takes you, no matter who comes into your life or who leaves, you'll always have this map to protect your mind, guard your peace, and hold your frame without apology. Ask yourself, how many more years are you willing to spend guessing what to do, hoping you'll figure it out before the damage is done? This isn't just a book. It's the difference between repeating the same mistakes for the rest of your life or finally understanding the game so deeply that no one can ever play you again. Number 2, she gaslights your reality. When she gaslights you, she is not merely disagreeing with your version of events. She is deliberately trying to rewrite your perception of reality so that you can no longer trust your own mind. And the moment you stop trusting your own perception, you become dependent on hers, which means she now holds the frame, the power, and the truth in the relationship. You notice it in the way she denies saying the things you just heard come out of her mouth, the way she insists that events unfolded differently than you remember, the way she flips situations so that somehow you are the one who is overreacting, being dramatic, or remembering it wrong. And at first you think maybe you did misremember because you want to keep the peace. You want to believe she's not deliberately trying to confuse you, so you question yourself. You let it go, but the pattern repeats. Little by little, you find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, doubting whether what you saw or heard was real, and relying on her to clarify what actually happened. And by the time you realize what's happening, she's already trained you to hand over the authority to define truth in your life, which is one of the most dangerous positions a man can be in, because once she controls the narrative, she controls how you see yourself, how you see her, the way you make decisions. The way you win here is not by arguing harder or collecting evidence to throw in her face. That only drags you deeper into her frame. The way you win is by becoming unshakable in what you know to be true, by refusing to debate your own memory with someone who benefits from you doubting it, by calmly stating the truth once and then disengaging completely. Because the more you engage in endless circular arguments, the more she can manipulate you into defending yourself instead of living in your reality. You must anchor your perception in something she cannot touch, your own direct observation, your logical reasoning, and your willingness to walk away from any interaction that tries to erode them, because Stoicism teaches that your mind is the one thing you fully control, and the man who guards his mind guards his life. In practice, this means if she tells you, "I never said that," when you know she did, you do not waste breath trying to convince her. You say, "We see it differently," and you move on. You keep mental or even physical records if the stakes are high, but you never argue to get her to admit the truth, because admission is not her goal, control is. The moment she realizes you cannot be moved off your perception, she loses that power, and she either adapts to reality or she exposes herself completely by escalating the manipulation. And if she escalates, you have your answer. You are not in a relationship. You are in a power struggle with someone who will distort truth to avoid accountability. Once you see that, your decision becomes simple. Stay and accept a life where you will forever doubt yourself, or walk away and reclaim your ability to see the world through your own eyes. Understand that gaslighting is not just about relationships with women. It can come from anyone, friends, family, colleagues, and the man who can stand firm in the truth without the need for external validation will never be at the mercy of someone else's lies. In the end, protecting your reality is protecting your freedom, and if you give that up, you give up the foundation of who you are. So the question you must ask yourself is this: are you willing to let someone else write the story of your life, or will you write it yourself and let the truth stand whether they like it or not? Number 3. She creates drama to gain control. When she creates drama, she is not losing control of herself. She is trying to gain control over you, because drama is a weapon, a psychological grenade thrown into your peace to blow up your focus, drain your emotional energy, and push you into a reactive state where she can steer the outcome in her favor. You see it when arguments erupt right before you have somewhere important to be, when a small disagreement suddenly becomes an all-out war that consumes your entire evening, when she picks fights over nothing just as you're about to make a decision she doesn't like. And in those moments it feels chaotic, it feels irrational, but it is not without purpose, because the more emotionally charged you become, the less logical you are, and in that emotional fog, you are far more likely to agree to things, apologize for things, or compromise on things you normally wouldn't, simply to stop the noise. And this is exactly where she wants you, reacting instead of thinking, defending instead of leading. This is why many men find themselves exhausted in relationships where every week is another battle, because what they don't realize is that constant drama is not the byproduct of a bad mood. It's a control tactic, and every time you take the bait, you reinforce to her that she can shift your behavior by creating chaos. And if you're honest with yourself, you know how easy it is to fall into this trap. You start explaining yourself, raising your voice, matching her tone, chasing her around the house to finish the conversation, believing that if you can just make your point clearly enough, she will calm down. But that moment never comes, because calming down was never her goal. Her goal was to get you to break your own frame, to get you to give in while you're too emotionally invested to see the bigger picture. The way you win here is by mastering the art of non-reactivity, not in a passive way, not by retreating into silence out of fear, but by actively choosing to stay calm, grounded, and unwilling to be baited into an emotional firefight. You slow your speech, you lower your tone, you refuse to match her energy, and most importantly, you make no major decisions in the middle of chaos. If she tries to corner you into an immediate response, you say, "We'll talk when we're both calm," and then you remove yourself from the situation, because Stoicism teaches that you cannot control another person's behavior, but you can control your response to it, and in doing so you rob them of the very control they are seeking. In practice, this may mean walking away from an argument even if she follows you from room to room. It may mean ignoring the flurry of texts designed to keep you hooked in the drama spiral. It may mean refusing to engage until the storm has passed completely. Because the moment she realizes her outbursts no longer move you, she faces a choice: escalate to more extreme behavior, which reveals her true nature faster, or change her approach entirely. Either way, you win, because you either end the cycle of chaos or you expose it for what it is and remove yourself from it. And understand this: drama is not exclusive to women. It can come from friends, family, colleagues, anyone who sees they can manipulate you by pulling on your emotions. And the man who trains himself to stay steady when others are trying to provoke him will find that his life becomes quieter, his mind clearer, and his relationships healthier, because people who rely on drama to gain control do not stay long in the lives of those they cannot control. So ask yourself right now, how many times have you traded your peace for the illusion of resolution? And what would your life look like if you decided that no argument, no tantrum, no outburst is worth giving away the control you have over your own mind? Number 4. She compares you to other men. When she compares you to other men, she is not making an innocent observation. She is strategically planting a seed of doubt in your mind. A subtle challenge designed to make you question whether you measure up, to make you compete for her approval as if your value is on trial. And you notice it in the way she mentions her ex, who used to take her on spontaneous trips, the co-worker who is always so thoughtful, the friend's boyfriend who treats her like a queen. And it's presented casually, almost as if it's harmless conversation. But underneath it is an emotional hook, a psychological test to see if she can provoke insecurity. Because the moment you feel you are being compared unfavorably, your instinct is to prove her wrong, to show her you are better, and in doing so, you shift from living in your frame to performing in hers. And performance for approval is the fastest way to lose respect in any relationship. If you fall into this trap, you start changing your behavior not because you want to, but because you're chasing validation. And every act of validation seeking makes you less of the man she was originally drawn to, because women are not attracted to men who beg for comparison points. They are attracted to men who operate as though there is no competition. And that mindset comes from a deep, unshakable belief in your own value. The belief that if she is looking sideways at another man, she is welcome to walk towards him, because you will not chase anyone who does not recognize what is in front of them. The way you win here is not by outdoing some imaginary rival, but by refusing to even enter the contest, by making her see through your composure and indifference that your worth is not measured against anyone else. And when says, "Why can't you be more like?" you respond not with defensiveness or explanation, but with a calm, "If that's what you want, you know where to find it, and you mean it." Because a man who knows his worth understands that the right woman is not trying to turn him into someone else. She is inspired by who he already is. This applies beyond relationships with women too, because in life there will always be someone making more money, getting more attention, living louder than you, and if you define yourself by those comparisons, you will spend your life running a race that never ends, always looking sideways, never moving forward in your own lane. Stoicism teaches that your value is internal, that it is tied to your virtues, your discipline, your ability to live according to your principles regardless of outside opinions. And when you truly live this way, comparisons lose their sting, because you are no longer seeking to be better than someone else. You are seeking to be better than you were yesterday. And here's what happens when you apply this in a relationship. Instead of scrambling to meet a shifting standard based on whoever she names, you remain consistent, you maintain your standards, you keep living your mission, and in doing so, you force her to make a choice, adapt to your reality, or go find the man she claims is better. Either way, you win, because you are not bending yourself into a shape that was never meant for you. So the question you must ask yourself is this: are you living as the man you know you are, or are you letting someone else's comparisons pull you into a competition that you never needed to be in? And if you knew your value so well that you could look at any comparison and shrug, how much more peaceful, confident, and unshakable would you be? Number 5. She tests boundaries with disrespect. When she tests your boundaries with disrespect, she is not simply joking, she is not just being playful, and she is not just having a bad day. She is gathering data, she is measuring the limits of what she can get away with. She is checking if the man in front of her is willing to enforce the standards he claims to have. And this is why the first time it happens is the most important moment. Because every time you let it slide, every time you laugh it off, every time you pretend you didn't notice the dig, the sarcastic comment, the subtle insult disguised as humor, you are teaching her that your boundaries are negotiable, that your respect is flexible, and that she can chip away at you without consequence. Disrespect rarely comes in the form of a single massive blowout in the beginning. It starts as small as interrupting you when you speak, rolling her eyes when you make a point, speaking over you in front of others, making side comments about your decisions, or taking little jabs at your competence. And most men ignore these early signs because they don't want to seem overly sensitive. They tell themselves, it's not worth starting a fight over. But what they fail to see is that these moments are not about the individual comment. They are about the precedent being set. And once the precedent is that you will absorb disrespect quietly, you will receive more of it, not less. The way you win here is by drawing a hard line the very first time it happens and holding that line without exception, not by exploding in anger or trying to match her disrespect with your own, but by calmly, firmly letting her know that the behavior is not acceptable and will not be tolerated, and then backing that up with consistent action. Because boundaries are not set with words alone, they are enforced through action. If she mocks you in front of others, you address it immediately and without apology. If she uses sarcasm to belittle you, you stop the interaction right there. If she keeps pushing after you've set the line, you create distance. And if she continues to violate your standards, you remove yourself from the relationship entirely. Because the truth is, a man who enforces his boundaries commands more respect than a man who endlessly explains them. And the longer you allow disrespect, the more you erode your own self-image until you start to believe you deserve it. Stoicism teaches that while you cannot control the behavior of others, you are fully in control of what you accept into your life. And the man who chooses to accept disrespect is choosing the slow destruction of his confidence and his authority. So you must decide, not in the heat of the moment, but right now, what you will and will not tolerate. And you must live by that decision, regardless of who is standing in front of you. This applies far beyond relationships with women, because in life, people will always test you, whether it's a colleague taking credit for your work, a friend making jokes at your expense, or a stranger pushing into your space. And if you fail these small tests, you invite larger ones, so you make it clear through your actions that disrespect is the one currency you will never accept. And once people understand that about you, you will find that they either rise to meet your standard or they remove themselves from your life entirely. Both outcomes serve you. So ask yourself this: if every person in your life treated you only to the level you allowed, what would change instantly if you stopped allowing even the smallest form of disrespect? And how different would your relationships, your confidence, and your entire life look if you refused to bend on this one non-negotiable? If you're tired of being the man who gives everything and still gets played, if you're done with the endless cycles of disrespect, manipulation, and games, then today is the day you draw the line. Not tomorrow, not when it's easier, but now. The Stoic relationship blueprint is not just a book. It's the raw, unfiltered truth every man should have been taught before he ever gave his heart away. It will show you exactly how to see through every game, hold your frame no matter the pressure, and build a life where your peace, your respect, and your mission are untouchable. And the best part? Once you grab it, it's yours forever. No one can take it from you, and you can revisit it any time life tries to pull you off track. The men who win are the men who act, not the ones who sit hoping things will change on their own. So, if you're ready to stop being at the mercy of her games and start living by your own rules, comment the Stoic Blueprint below, grab your copy from the link in the comments, like this video, and subscribe so more men can find these truths before they waste years of their lives they can never get back.